There's someone who lost his house right here. Fema got him. Fema got what they wanted. Some poor person getting his house demolished. This is awful. So here we are. Here is the latest and greatest from Fema, and this little video series I've been doing, I think 2 or 3 episodes before this one. And what's going on is that I don't know if you saw the previous ones. If you did, I went through the process after the hurricane that hit last year, where we have a bunch of rental properties, and it's been quite rough since. So it all started with a hurricane that flooded 8 of our rentals, and we went guns blazing, fixed them up, dried them out, and got them up and running and rented again, which felt great because it was like the worst case scenario happened and we got through it really well, we thought. Then after the fact, the county started sending out letters saying that, well, all houses that were flooded needs to be getting building permits before they can be renovated, which was already too late since we cared about our properties and went right in. So 2 months after the hurricane, we were done, and we thought that letter sort of became obsolete, so we let it be. Then they sent another letter saying all houses need the permits no matter if you were approved or not, or no matter if sorry, I got off track. They sent a second letter saying all houses need permits even if the job is already done. You have to do an after the fact permit, and we didn't want to do it, so we laid low for a while, because we knew that if you get those permits, you're gonna have to pay a bunch of people. But then they kept putting more pressure on and saying it's FEMA too, requiring that these permits are done. It's technically FEMA's idea because there's something called the FEMA 50% rule. And the 50% rule states that if it costs more than 50% of the house market or assessed value of the building to fix it back up after the hurricane, FEMA will demo it. You're sort of forced to demo your house. And since ours are already rented again and renovated, we obviously didn't want to do anything of the sort, so we tried to lay low for a bit longer, but then they started coming after us, threatening with fines. So they said that all houses that haven't done building permits after the flood will be fined like $1,000 a day or whatever it was from the county, like a ridiculous number. So with that, we were sort of forced to start permitting, and since we own them as landlords, we weren't allowed to do the permitting ourselves. If you're a resident owner, you could do the permit yourself. We weren't allowed to, so we had to get a licensed contractor to pull the permits for us, and I got a great guy helping me with that. So we're like, the only little blessing in this whole shenanigans is that guy Russell that's helping us. And then we started putting together all the information they needed about what we've done and whatnot, and putting the permits in. But then our houses, we haven't assessed them in a long time because we bought them without a mortgage. We did some owner financing, but otherwise no mortgage on the houses. And the assessed value was very low, so when we totaled up the cost of the repairs, that ended up being more than the 50% of the assessed value. So we were forced to do a bunch of appraisals on more or less all of our properties. So that's another $500 or more per property just to get the assessed value up, so they don't demo the houses. And even worse is that the information that we have to put into the permit regarding how much costs there was involved in fixing them up isn't the true numbers. So I have the bills from Home Depot where we bought the materials, and I have the invoices from the contractors that helped me, and with that we can say we did this drywall and it cost this much, and here's the proof. Now the county comes back, or FEMA comes back and says, well, we don't think that's expensive enough, so you're going to have to use our standardized numbers instead, which is much higher for the same job. So they're basically forcing us to lie on the permits, which ends up being putting the value or the cost of the renovations way higher than they actually were. And then that pushes us over the 50%. So then we're forced into getting appraisals on all the houses to get that balance right again. And then as of that, it's even further stuck by now, because we got some permits through in some houses, but then on the house next door they have different rules. So on some of the houses now they demand us to get a licensed electrician and plumber on the permit. For some units we haven't even used a plumber, but they still want us to put a plumber on the permit, and then they want us to put an electrician on the permits because we changed a lot of the outlets, stuff that you're normally allowed to do without a licensed electrician. But now they've changed the rules, and they're also changing the rules between the different houses, even though they're next door to each other, and we applied for the permits on the same time. And I'm kind of stuck, because finding these contractors now is proving to be almost impossible, as they either don't want to touch the job and put their license on someone else's work, or it's old houses, and like to demand old houses to have the same standard as a brand new house is also a ridiculous idea, but that's what they're doing. And it keeps us stuck, because there's no real electricians and plumbers that want to do the job, and I haven't found people that will work with us yet to go out and check them, except a few, but they wanted an absolute ridiculous amount of money to go do the job, or not even do the job. Some wanted money to just go look at the job. And I guess that's what happened, because with the county putting so much pressure on all these flooded houses, I think there's like 20 something thousand, the work is unlimited for these contractors, and sadly the moral is not the best out there. So a lot of them are like using this to make a lot of money and completely screwing people over, and that's where we're stuck right now. So on this third little push, we're stuck having one permit that's about to be released, where we're going to do the first inspection and then have to fix the things, having 7 permits stuck pending subcontractors that don't want to do the job. And on all the permits I've been forced by Fema to lie about the costs and how we've done this thing. And once I get the permits through, we'll get all the kind of opening Pandora's box, because we're allowing county inspectors into old houses where they will judge everything as if the houses was a new build. We need to stick to code on everything we've done. So we've done drywalling, so then that needs to be up to code. We've done some electric outlets, so then all the electricity in the houses needs to be up to modern code. And then we've done some vanities in some of the houses, and then they demand all the plumbing in those houses to be as in a new house. So immensely expensive, and absolute no productivity whatsoever, just pure bureaucracy eating up a ton of our money for no good. And giving all that money to a county that treats people like that is not sitting quite right. So to say that we're a little upset about this is like an understatement. I hate unfairness, I hate bureaucracy, and this is supposed to be United States or America, and it's like, I don't know, it's more like a communist country, or even worse. I mean, Sweden has nothing even remotely as rough as this is. So this is amongst the worst bureaucracies I've seen in my whole life, and it's all regarding Fema and the county, the local county, especially the one we're in, where they're being even worse. So not the best of times, but we'll get through it. So stay tuned for the next update. Thank you for watching.